Organization. I don't give a fuck about, you know what I mean? They stripped me damn near 2.5 months after my title, not knowing, you know, what was going to happen next.
And then there was a phone call. I don't remember if he called me or I called him. And during that phone call, you know, mention was made, you know, of Shakur's relationship with Terence Crawford. Now, listen, that was very bizarre to me. And I told Mauricio that I don't understand what relevance that has. I don't understand why we're talking about.
You're a character. Sometimes, you know, you look at people and you be like, dang, man, you ain't got no dignity. You ain't got no morals. Like, come on, man. Like, what you gonna stand for if everything is about money?
After Terence Crawford tells the WBC, ShakurStevenson's world title is taken away a few days later. What began as calm phone calls between people behind the scenes quickly turned into one of the most dramatic power struggles in boxing history. Asks to move sections around while keeping a belt. A unique title is being talked about, a six-figure fine charge. The WBC says that the papers they needed never showed up.
And then all of a sudden, a couple of weeks before the fight, there's like this chorus that starts, and it starts with emails, and you're not getting back to me. Now, I had a personal issue going on in my life for a period of 4 days that I had to attend to, and we had already worked out an agreement. And then there was a demand for a 3% sanction fee.
For its part, the WBC says Stevenson was not stripped. Stevenson thinks that there is a personal matter going on. He even made it sound like the group still had problems with his boss, Terence "Bud" Crawford. The green and gold lightweight tournament is open right now. The lightweight category is not clear yet, and fans have one more thing to ask. Was it really about rules or power that caused the fight? Because what happened behind closed doors could reveal a lot more about the politics of boxing than anyone thought.
We received a call from his management in which they requested the WBC to have ShakurStevenson fight on a different weight category while maintaining the lightweight championship, and being this a WBC event, which even they asked for a special belt for the fight.
WBC President Mauricio Suleiman said that the process started with a straight call from ShakurStevenson's management team. Stevenson asked for permission to fight in a different weight class while still holding onto the WBC lightweight title. This alone made people look twice. Champions do sometimes move between classes, but they have to get official permission to keep their title while competing in another division. The problem got worse in this case. Suleiman said that Stevenson's team also asked if it would be possible to make a special belt for the next fight. This has happened before in boxing, but it is still a touchy subject, especially in a sport where championships are known to be inflated. What the WBC says is that they were open to the idea. In fact, Suleiman says he was ready to bring it up to the board and thought it would be okay. However, there was one catch. Everything had to be written down and turned in. He says that he told Stevenson's management very clearly to send a proper written request to start the process. The WBC says that the paper never got there.
I told his management they needed to send a written request in order to start all the process. From that point on, we had another couple of conversations. They were supposed to send a written request, which didn't happen.
Suleiman says there were several more talks. The problem was even brought up at the WBC's yearly meeting. The organizer, Matchroom Boxing, was reportedly brought in to help move things along faster. There is still no written plea. When it comes to boxing politics, verbal deals don't matter. The WBC says that it can't say that something is authorized without seeing the papers. Formal permission was shown by a written request. The problem wasn't solved because it didn't have official support. That's when the anger started to rise. After the paperwork got backed up, it was no longer about chance, but about following the rules. That the real explosion wasn't about lost papers, it had to do with money. Soon after the WBC made its comment, ShakurStevenson said something that completely changed the story. He said that to get the fight approved and keep his title, he was asked to pay $100,000. Later, It was made clear that the worth was $120,000, which is what the WBC says.
And according to the WBC rules, a fee of $120,000, which is less than the 3% that should be, which they, by the way, they can contest as.
Mauricio Sulaiman confirmed the number, but he put it in a different way. He said that the price of $120,000 was less than the normal 3% licensing fee set by WBC rules. He said that the company had already cut the amount and has a history of doing that when costs need to be cut. He made it clear that a big chunk of the fees for sanctioning go to the WBC Boxes Fund, a charity that helps athletes who are in need. It's not about the money, Sulaiman said many times. It's about the rule. The WBC says that any champion asking for special permission must follow the formal method, which includes making payments. You can't get the title for the fight without it. Stevenson, though, had a different view. Because of his last fight, he had already paid the fees that were due. From his point of view, this extra payment seemed way too high, especially since the WBC did not officially approve the fight in its top division. Stevenson told it like it was on social media. He didn't understand why he had to pay another six-figure amount. He explained that the move was meant to be exact. Then he said something that really set off the fight. He seemed to imply that the WBC had a problem with Bud. There was more to it than just anger. The charge was made because the fight turned into a relationship issue, and it wasn't just about rules.
But, Terence and I aren't best buddies. I love Terence. He's a great guy. He's an amazing champion. But Shakur's choice of friends has nothing to do with this guy. And, he mentioned, well, you know what's going on with us in the ring. And I said, I'm not interested in any of that. We can talk about something reasonable, but double what we end up paying.
That's when Terence Crawford's name came up again, not as a boxing champion, but as a major player in a power battle that was just starting. Crawford and the WBC had already fought several times. Before ShakurStevenson's title was taken away, Terence Bud Crawford was already odds with the World Boxing Council. All four major belts were held by Crawford after he beat Canelo Alvarez in a historic fight to become the undisputed super middleweight king. It was one of the most important things he ever did in his career and in the history of fighting. But after 2 months, the WBC took away his green and gold title. Why? Not paid fees for punishment.
Mauricio, got a lot to say about me not paying him $300,000 plus another $100K something for sanction fees, right? Then he gonna tell me I ain't even apologize? Like, who the fuck you think I am?
The lawyer Mauricio Sulaiman says Crawford had to pay around $300,000. The fee is based on how much the fight was worth and is found as a portion of Crawford's known earnings. Sulaiman also said that the WBC had already lowered the fee from the usual 3% to 0.6%, which made the total amount due a lot less. He also said that a big chunk of the money would go to the WBC's Boxes Fund, which helps athletes who are in need. Crawford didn't say that the fee didn't exist. Instead, he openly turned it down. Crawford strongly replied on social media, making it clear that he had no plans to pay the organization's ridiculous claim. He was not irritable in a delicate way. He criticized both the charge and the people in charge of it, which made news all over the fighting world.
Boy, you better slap your fucking self and paying your ass shit. Fuck you talking about paying you $300,000. What makes you so motherfucking better than any other sanction bodies, huh?
The fight became emotional, public, and easy to see for many people. Soon after the belt was taken off, Crawford announced his retirement. He finished as a 5-weight world champion who had never lost. He was the first male boxer during the 4-belt era to win all 3 classes without being challenged. There was no silence from him, though. Fans quickly put together the pieces when ShakurStevenson's fight with the WBC came to light months later. Stevenson said in public that his close friendship with Crawford, who was his mentor, friend, and training partner, might have affected how the WBC managed his case. Crawford then made the problem worse. He posted Stevenson's comments again. He made fun of the situation and said, "One hurtful thing that was heard all over the fighting world. I could remove the ring belt. That wasn't just a joke. It was a message. Many boxing fans thought Crawford was telling the governing groups that they were losing control over the best boxes.
Don't you? So since you, the WBC, and you got the fucking green belt, which don't mean fucking shit, fucking real belt is the ring belt, which is free, motherfucker.
At that moment, these were no longer two separate problems. It looked like a pattern. One winner is against the fees. The belt is no longer there. Another champion doesn't agree with the method. The title doesn't say anything. It was impossible to ignore the optics, whether they were a coincidence or an impact. And just as rumors were getting strong, the WBC made it public. The WBC officially told the world that ShakurStevenson's lightweight title, which he won in November 2023, was no longer valid. The thinking was clear and followed the right steps. The group talked about its rules and laws and said that Stevenson was now the WBO super lightweight world champion, based on how they are set up. A fighter who is actively pursuing and fighting for titles in a different class without going through the proper authorization procedures cannot continue to hold the lightweight championships.
Did not strip Shakur.
Well, you vacated the title. It's kind of the same thing.
The management elected not to comply, and they eventually vacated the title because they did not comply. And we have so many written proof of everything.
WBC hoped he did well, that they would start the process of choosing a new lightweight champion, and they made it clear what the rules would be. Mauricio Sulaiman strongly disagreed with the word stripped, saying over and over that Stevenson did not lose his crown. He instead said it was a matter of conformity. Sulaiman says Stevenson's team forgot to make the official request to keep the belt while fighting in a different weight class. Since there was no written permission, the board could not guarantee approval, and the situation could not go forward without final agreement. Sulaiman said, "We did not strip Shakur. His management elected not to comply."
We have not received any response from ShakurStevenson, and the board is going to address this matter. And all this is published publicly, Chris.
The WBC thinks that the rules were followed. From Stevenson's point of view, what happened was like being stripped. And the difference between unoccupied and stripped became the subject of a heated debate. Fans who are looking from the sidelines don't think the words used change what is happening. He didn't have the belt around his waist anymore. Between divides, many people said he wasn't given enough time to think about what he should do next. The choice was made quickly, just a few days after winning. No longer grace time. The talks will not go on for a long time. Some people saw it as normal, others took it personally, especially since they had just been with Crawford not long ago. That's when ShakurStevenson went public and made it clear that he wasn't going to accept the story, because the WBC had missed their chance to have the case treated behind closed doors. If the WBC thought the problem would stay small and quiet, it was over minutes after they made their statement
that they was getting emails and phone calls from Mauricio Sulaiman and the WBC because they wanted ShakurStevenson not to have a relationship. They don't like the fact that they have a relationship with, that Shakur has a close relationship with now retired pound for pound king, 5-division world champion, 3-division undisputed world champion, superstar boxer, first ballot Hall of Famer, Terence Bud Crawford.
Boxing superstar Terence Bud Crawford is the former pound for pound king, -1-division world champion, and 3-division undisputed world champion. He is also on the first vote for the Hall of Fame. Stevenson Shakur, and straight to social media. He questioned the $100,000 later proven to be $120,000 authorization fee in front of millions of followers, not behind closed doors or in a press release. There was no doubt in their minds. I just paid these guys after my last fight. What the hell am I giving you $100,000 for now? That showed a lot of anger. He did not stop there. Stevenson wrote an angry post in which he called the group crooks and said they were acting unfairly. He made it sound like the choice wasn't just about following the rules. It was about the stress his close friendship with Terence Crawford was causing. That one sentence changed the whole tone of the argument. Because you guys have a beef with Bud, so come at me for it. Up until that point, this was just shown as paperwork and fees for sanctions. After that post, people talked about loyalty, allies, and how power works in boxing's governing system. Stevenson then gave the speech that explained his point of view. He told her, "Take your belt. It doesn't make me." This meant that the green and gold strap did not set him apart. That showed his fans that he was sure of himself. Some people saw it as rebellion. From afar, it looked like there was no longer any link between the fighter and the organization that sanctioned him.
Therefore, they penalized Shakur Stevenson because of his relationship. As you heard, he told Mauricio Sulaiman, what does Shakur relationship with Terence Crawford have to do with this? That's unprofessional and has absolutely no bearings on Shakur Stevenson. He's his own man. So they had plans to strip him because of his relationship with Terence Bud Crawford.
Within hours, there were a lot of fans on social media. One group said that rules are rules. The World Bank could enforce its rules if official requests and payments were not made and received. On the other side, people saw revenge. They talked about Crawford's latest fight. They were not sure about the time. They said that winners like Stevenson should have more freedom, and that timing was very important. All of this took place just a few days after Stevenson won. There isn't a longer grace time. There is no window of time for months to negotiate. The choice seemed made right away. The speed led to more rumors. Did the WBC just follow the rules, or were they trying to send a message? Because when two skilled fights go after the same group in public within months of each other, how people see it becomes just as important as what the rules say. The fight, however, went beyond the internet. Inside the ring, it could be seen. What happened next made Stevenson even more worried about his future. Right after Stevenson beat Lopez, the focus wasn't just on the belt. As he stood next to the other people, Terence Crawford was in the ring at the right time. It was hard to miss the meaning. Crawford, who had just quit because of a disagreement with the WBC, stood next to Stevenson as cameras rolled and questions were asked. The problem got worse after that. A British middleweight boxer named Conor Ben joined the fight and told Stevenson that he needed to move up in weight. Then told her, "You're too small for me." He didn't think twice before telling her, "You can't keep me off of you." The conversation got heated. The words were sharp. There was pride on show.
Hold up. It's a fighter in here right now, and he motivated me tonight too. Where's Conor Ben? Hey, Conor Ben, we could get it banging, boy. We could get it banging, boy. I want that same rehydration clause that you put on Eubank Jr., and I want to fight.
You're too small for me, bro. You're too small for me.
I'm a dog.
You're tiny.
I'm
You're
a
tiny,
dog,
bro.
I'm
You're
a dog.
tiny, bro.
My skills is too much.
You can't punch.
Okay.
You can't keep me.
Ben pushed him to go further and fight the best welterweights. Stevenson answered strongly, saying that he wasn't scared. People who were there in person thought it was the start of a new competition. But there was a more important question behind that moment. In what group does Shakur Stevenson really fit in now? Already, he had won the WBO super lightweight title. He was talking about fights that might happen at heavier weights. And since the WBC lightweight title is currently open, he probably won't be going back to that belt. Reports say that trying to win another World Boxing Championship title soon might not be possible with the way things are right now. This doesn't mean that they can't get back together, but it does mean that their relationship is stressed. In the meantime, the lightweight class has become very open all of a sudden. A vacant title makes room for improvement. Those who were waiting in line are now getting ready for their chance to win gold. Promoters are changing their minds. It's more important than ever to rank things. And when an unexpected title comes up for grabs, power moves quickly. When there isn't a winner, everything changes. Stevenson has a lot of choices. Keep your light on and leave a new memory there. Move up and go after fights with a lot of attention. Instead, try to rejoin the WBC system again, even though most people are against it. Every road is dangerous. Politics are a part of every road. All of this is happening at a time when boxing is very hot and cold. Since this isn't just happening one place, how the sport is played is changing, and the legitimacy of established governing groups is being questioned more widely than ever before. This is a much bigger deal than just one title, and it's much worse for the political balance in boxing. The anger might have died down if it were just about Shakur Stevenson and an open belt. But this happens at a time when the whole boxing system is under a lot of stress. Dana White and Zuffa Boxing have officially joined the sport. They plan to operate in a way that makes the sport less or not dependent on the main sanctioning bodies.
You and I have never talked about this, but the answer is yes.
Right, of course.
What will happen?
Of course, yeah. Right.
There will be a Zuffa belt, and then there will be a ring belt, and yes, I will not recognize any of the other sanctioning bodies.
Our idea focuses on fewer belts, lower fees, less politics, centralized marketing, and streamlined finals. Boxing was ruled for many years by groups like the WBC, WB8, IBF, and WBO. Each group had its own rankings, needed challengers, and fees for sanctioning fights. There were clear winners in that system, but there was also doubt, disagreement, and money problems. There is more talk about it among fighters now than ever before. The argument between Terence Crawford and someone else did not end quietly behind closed doors. He told everyone he didn't think it was smart to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in licensing fees, especially after winning big fights that made his career. In the same way, ShakurStevenson did not stay polite. He questioned how things looked. He asked if it was fair. He made a reference to his own worry. Fans are giving close attention because when top pound-for-pound fighters attack the government in public, it changes the normal balance of power. Certification groups have had power for a long time by being recognized. A belt showed that you were serious. A belt stood for approval. A belt stood for past. But in the world we live in now, fighters build huge personal brands, social media followings, self-reliance, and the ability to promote themselves in a variety of ways. Some belts are thought to be important, others are not required. Crawford wasn't just joking when he said that the ring belt was free. It was a thought about what makes a real boxing champion in the current era. On the other hand, the WBC says it maintains order. There are rules to keep things consistent. The money from fines and penalties goes to projects like the Boxers Fund. Order is kept by written methods. The public sees conflict even though both sides think they are right. The confusion is caused by Crawford's disagreement, Stevenson's vacancy. Fans arguing about the difference between titles that have been stripped and titles that have been vacated. Promoters handling many organizations and the rise of a new promotional power with a completely different model. The work is not only about papers, it's all about having power. Who decides what a title is? Who makes the rules about money? Who decides what is legitimate? Is the belt given by the governing body or by the boxer who sells the fight?
And as we start to roll out over the next couple of weeks what we have going on, it's gonna rock the industry. Let's just put it that way. Listen, I don't want to get way ahead of myself here, but you know, we're gonna be adding more shows this year too. We'll be doing more fights than we originally announced.
Even though the Stevenson case is only one story, it is a part of a much bigger change, because boxing's established order could go through its biggest change in decades if more fighters publicly question fee structures, more champions publicly question sanctioning authority, or if new systems take hold. The WBC says it followed the rules right now. Stevenson said that he felt like the action was personal. Crawford has made it clear that he won't follow through with terms he doesn't agree with. There is nothing on the lightweight belt. The famous people are coming out. What boxing looks like in the future might rest on who makes the first move. In this sport, belts are important, but maybe power is more important. Feel free to write your thoughts in the space below. Okay, guys, if you want to get the latest fighting news, moments, events, and actions, sign up for Knockout updates and turn on notifications. That way, you'll never miss good content. Watch some of our other movies. Take care until we see you again.